everyone. This is HBCU Game Day, and I am Simone Stanley. Today, I am joined by all SWAC first team defensive lineman for Alabama State University. It's Christian Clark here for another NFL draft conversation as he prepares for April, the big night, 3 nights in April. Christian, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. It's a blessing.
Definitely. So, Christian, we talked before you was preparing for the interview. Is this the haircut, or did you not get the haircut?
I just got it done. I usually get the twist, so that's why I said I couldn't get it all together. But I got a little edge up. We got it together, so we all right.
Yeah, you look good. You look good.
Appreciate it.
So, Christian, how would you describe your career, your collegiate football career in the SWAC and at Alabama State?
Coming from high school and making that transition to college, everybody, you have a few that make that transition real easy, but being an offensive lineman coming out of high school, it was tough. That wasn't what I initially wanted to play, but at the end of the day, I made it work for the first year. I ended up moving to defense my second year, my redshirt freshman year, because I got redshirted my first year, and honestly, it just played and worked out in my favor. I just thank the man above for just blessing me with the talent. I just think right now, like you said, just as far as my college career, it was well. We didn't get a SWAC championship or HBCU national championship. That was something I aspired to do, not only for me, but just for the city of Montgomery, because they showed a lot of love and appreciation for me, as well as the people that came in my class and the ones before me. That's
awesome. So you wanted to continue to play offensive line, or you wanted to play defensive line?
I wanted to play defensive line. That, like I said, in high school, I made a lot of sacrifices, and that's just the type of guy I am. Sacrifice for the team because, team first before anything. And this does me or the team no good if I go out there and make 10 tackles and we lose. That was my whole thing. Wherever I need to go, wherever I need to play to help the team win, that's what I was willing to do. But, in the college, when you go to college, it's more of a business, and I just had to take that. I just had to take that and just see from my brother's experience, and him telling me, look, treat yourself as a business because that's what it is. And, I just had to try to make the best decision for myself and my family and my future. And I felt like moving to the defensive line was in my best interest. And it's played out and worked out tremendously for me.
It definitely worked out for you. So how do you think playing in the SWAC and playing at Alabama State prepared you for the NFL?
It's a lot of things that goes into it, especially going to HBCU, just the grind and the, people say get it out the mud. And, a lot of guys that come from these bigger schools, no knock on them because at their universities, they are equipped with a lot of things. They have access to little things as far as a training table, maybe a massage, just any little things, But for us, we have to, we have one trainer my senior year, Miss Kelsey, and she did a tremendous job in just trying to orchestrate everything for us. And, it's just a different type of feeling when you actually get a chance to go to the NFL. You want to capitalize on it because, like I said before, you're not just doing it for yourself. You're doing it for everybody else and the ones that come behind you.
Definitely. So what part of your game do you think will translate instantly from the collegiate level to the professional level?
I just feel like my IQ for the game and just being a dog, and just wanting to win. A lot of things go into it just playing. A lot of things go into just playing the game of football, Right now, and like I said, in college, I learned fast. It's not all about who's the biggest, strongest, fastest, who has the longevity in the game, who can be accountable, who could be a guy that knows football. And like I said, I don't know everything, but I know a lot, you know what I mean? And I don't want to really beat myself up, but that's just something I do know. And that's just the confidence that I do have in myself and my ability. And that just comes with me knowing the game and the IQ, watching film. I had a few good coaches help me with that. And that's what took me a long way. So, just the little things, the intangibles that I have. I feel like I'm very charismatic. I have a good aura about myself. So there's a lot of things that I bring to the table outside of just my ability to play football that'll help any team.
You're a student of the game.
You said it, not me.
I like that. So we know your strengths. What do you think is the most underrated part of your game going into these combines and these showcases? What part of your game do you think is not getting enough respect, but you're ready to, silence the haters and wake them up?
I just think just my athletic ability. A lot of people, besides the people that have seen me play, my coaches and teammates know the type of athlete I am. Being the size I am, it shocks people. They're like, whoa, you can do this, you can do that, you can run. It's times where I have to jump over a guy, make a tackle, or just any little thing that the average defensive tackle and or nose guard or the defensive alignment wouldn't even do or would even attempt to do because some people just have it or you don't, you know what I mean? So I just think, my athletic ability just carried me a long way. I give thanks to my mom. She used to wake me up at like 5 o'clock in the morning just to go run. And because I used to play basketball. So she would wake me up, go run. And I just carried that the whole way. And it's helped me tremendously.
That's awesome. So this draft coming up in April is a very defensive heavy draft. I feel like last draft was really quarterback, wide receiver. The draft before was definitely wide receiver heavy, but this draft is definitely where all these teams can go ahead and get their franchise pieces on defense. So with this draft so heavily built on defense, what makes you, Christian, stand apart from the other defensive prospects?
Accountability, leadership qualities. Like I said, IQ, the knowledge of the game, respect for the game, and just that dog mentality and just the will to win at all costs. Like I said, it doesn't matter where you put me at. I'm going to give it my all. No matter the situation, you got to think I've had 4 coaches maybe as far as position-wise. I've had to play in almost every type of defense from a 4 down to a 3 down to a multiple defense. And with that, it's just like I said, just having to be able to bring the guys along with you, having those leadership qualities like, look, man, it's going to be okay. We got a new coach. It's fine. We got to figure out a way to do it and get it done. And at the end of the day, we set a lot of goals for ourselves. We didn't achieve them, but one of my coaches said this, and it kind of stuck with me because it was on the latter end of my senior year. You can't base life off of wins and losses. You know what I mean? You got to base it off just who did you inspire, who did you help, and who did you take along with you on your journey? Because at the end of the day, you want to take as many people as you can. And I just think that's something that I bring to the table, just a lot of different intangibles and characteristic qualities and leadership qualities.
You definitely can't teach those. Definitely.
Yeah.
Can't get that off film. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you talk about all the different defenses that you've had to adjust to and the different play styles you've had to adjust to, all the different coaches. But what kind of defensive scheme do you think you would thrive in on the NFL level? And where do you see yourself lining up in the trenches?
It doesn't matter, honestly. I'm willing to adapt to any defense because I've been comfortable in every single one. I played in the 3-4 for the past 2 years. I played in the 4 down. My beginning of my defensive career at Alabama State. In high school, we played a bare front. So it's like I've seen a lot of different things, and I've had to adjust to those. So and I've made the adjustment well. One of my coaches when we went to 3 down defense, he was like, "All the 50 tackles you had, just throw that out the window." That next year I had 53. So it's like, oh, okay. Well, I adjusted pretty well. He was like, he gave me my credit. And that's Coach Pearson, the DC that's still at Alabama State.
That's awesome. Versatility definitely goes a long way for linemen. So what's the day-to-day grind and routine like for Christian and someone who's preparing for these combines, these showcases, and ultimately the NFL draft?
Right now, I wake up pretty early. I gotta be a good cousin first. Honestly, I take my little cousins to school first. But after that, it's work. I wake up, I hit the field, I try to get some miles in, try to get my legs right, get down on the weight because that's something that teams have told me to do, get down to a certain weight. We ain't gonna talk too much about it, but we close. We almost had our goal. But and at nighttime, I go to Raw Talent. It's a training facility out here in Cleveland. And right now I've been working there. I'm going to Dallas actually Monday to start the actual NFL prep and getting into it and get into my whole routine, the real routine, where it's like everything else is strictly football.
That's awesome. So, Christian, you bring up Cleveland. And lastly, I got to ask you, well, I got two more questions. One, are you a Browns fan or what?
You know what? I'm from Cleveland. It's almost like you have no choice. I'm not saying no.
You did a long pause. I know what that means.
Because they love to, it's like they up and they down. And it's like they want to give you a heart attack almost. And I mean, but but one thing about the Browns and just the city of Cleveland and just not just the Browns, all our sports, we have a great fan base. And we're really faithful, through the ups and the downs. And I mean, that's one thing I do love about the city of Cleveland. I do like the Browns, but I'm a Kansas City Chief fan by default. So you know how that goes.
Okay. So my last question for you, do you have any NFL comparisons, or are there any guys when you were growing up you modeled your play style after, or even to this day get some pieces of their game from?
I want to say it's a comparison, and I'm not going to, it's no knock on those guys, because those guys they're great talents. You got guys like Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, Jan Reed, Fletcher Cox, a shorter guy like Antoine Woods. I love it. Oh, you got the Philly back there. So yeah, Fletcher Cox. You got the HBCU alumni, Javon Hargraves. You got a few guys that I do look at. Our body types are kind of different, but I feel like, the athletic part and just the strength and the dog that I have that I bring to the game, I can compare to it. So it's not more so of a play style. It's more so how they approach the game that I try to, model my game after. I love the way Fletcher Cox plays. It doesn't matter if they're down. It doesn't matter the situation. He's always going to give his 100%. Same thing with the rest of those guys that I mentioned. You have a lot of guys that are talented, but, when things get rough, they want to, they take plays off. And that's just in the human nature. That's just what happens sometimes. But so you got to click it to this other gear to where it's like, okay, no matter what the situation is, until the clock says 0 all the way, it's never over. And that's just what I just base my game off of. And I try to preach to everybody that I'm around and that I've played with. So
the dog mentality, that's what you like about those guys.
You got to have, because if you don't, you're going to get rolled over. You're going to have bad plays. And on those bad plays, the one thing about it, are you going to get up or are you going to fold? The good ones, they get up and they go get a sack, or they go make a TFL, or they just go disrupt the whole play, just wreck the whole play. And that's the type of player I want to be. Like, don't be too hard. I don't want to be too hard on myself to the point to where I give up, like a lot of other players would. So that's just one thing I've carried with me. My family, that's one thing, they talk to me about all the time, just being a dog, but also being a student of the game. So you don't want to be too much of a dog to where you costing your team, but you got to have controlled anger. That's the good word for it. You got to have controlled anger in this game, and that's what I do.
That's amazing, Christian. I love the mindset. I love the mentality. Not just football. I see a philosopher in you as well. You dropped a lot of gems, a lot of good takeaways I got.
I want to be a coach one day. It's in the works.
I can see it. I can definitely see it. But guys, I'm Simone Stanley. This is HBCU Game Day. We've got Christian Clark in the building today. All SWAC lineman from Alabama State University, now preparing for the NFL draft, the time he's been waiting on for so long in April. So make sure you guys are following along his journey. We definitely will be, and make sure you guys are tapped here at HBCU Game Day for all the updates and all the coverage of your favorite college football stars that go on and matriculate to the pros. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Oh man, I appreciate you having me on here.